Aliens Dark Descent is a game where you're actively trying to survive against endless hordes of xenomorphs as you try to command your team of colonial marines and prevent them from actively dying within the first minute of the entire mission. Our story begins in the lovely prologue where we get to play as Administrator Mako Hayes, who works for Wayland Yutani, who are the active good guys of the alien setting, and who will totally not try to make alien bioweapons within the first 5 seconds of seeing a xenomorph. Beyond that, we start off our glorious campaign by getting into an argument with our boss.
Chief Administrator, I'm showing a weight discrepancy on the Bentonville's manifest. They just asked for a takeoff accreditation, but half the shipment is still at dock.
Half, you say? Well, we just earned a bonus. I'll allow them to take off right away.
Protocol dictates.
How many times? Company protocol doesn't mean anything out here. What works, works. And we're already behind schedule.
Director Price?
Isn't here. And if I do recall correctly, Deputy Administrator Hayes, shift ended half an hour ago. So get the hell off my command deck and let me do my job.
Well, fuck you then. After being dismissed by our boss, who will definitely survive the prologue and become a reoccurring character, we decide to go back to our office to figure out what is going on inside of the cargo bay by looking through the security cameras on our late 1900s computer. What's the worst that could be happening? They're getting ripped apart by some unknowable creature? Well, this is a problem. So after watching footage of effectively our co-workers being torn apart limb from limb by some unknowable creature, we make the brilliant and tactical decision to go down there ourselves. Fun! There's a dead body down here. Well, time to take his gun. As we explore the seemingly empty cargo bay, we then investigate a open container. Well, this doesn't seem suspicious at all. I wonder what this strange goo is. Huh, another suspicious looking cargo container. I wonder what's in there. What the fuck was that? Haha, no, we are fucking leaving this mess. Hayes, and now is not the time for looting dead people. Oh, wait a minute, I just found 20 bucks on the guy. Oh, and you found a welding tool. Nice. So after making a beeline towards the door, we make sure to weld the damn thing. We then make our way back to our boss to tell him what happened in the cargo bay. And at first he doesn't believe us, but, why did the power go out?
Power failure. Engaging emergency generators.
So as the power continued to stay out throughout the station, multiple facehuggers started crawling out of the vents and started to hand out free hugs to everybody. And as I stand there, pistol in hand, ready to defend my boss against the horde of facehuggers that are coming out of— Wait a minute, what are you doing? You know what? He deserved that. After witnessing something that will probably cause the main character's therapy bills to go up, we are immediately attacked by one of the few remaining facehuggers in the room. And luckily, we're able to make a beeline to the door and shut the damn thing in there. We eventually find ourselves in the computer room to activate the Cerberus protocol, effectively putting the entire planet under quarantine. Unfortunately, this has all the nuclear satellites in orbit to attack anything coming in and anything coming out. And anything that's already in orbit is now a target. And yes, this does include friendly ships. So after committing our slight war crime, we then come face to face with the alien and we proceed to hide from it. Luckily, we finally find some colonial marines which save us from getting mauled from the xenomorph. We then booked the fastest way off of this station, after when we blew up a few facehuggers and shot a crazy robot that was trying to kill us. We finally then make it to the nearest dropship off of this station. However, the pilot is a little late on schedule, so we have to wait for them to show up, and we then have to fend off a small pack of xenomorphs, which goes well the first time, and we are able to fully leave the station mostly intact. And after 4 minutes and 26 seconds into the video, we have finally ended the prologue and made our way to the USS Intago, which crash landed onto the moon below, which we definitely did not cause. And anything that's already in orbit is now a target. And yes, this does include friendly ships. Now that we are finally on the Entago, we are told by one of the characters to go around and explore all the different facilities. We then go off to meet our Chief Medical Officer, Bookard, whose textures immediately increase in quality. Then after the medbay, we meet Chief Engineer Corrigan, who gives us access to the workshop, which will allow us to build many weapons and equipment such as a literal flamethrower. And finally, we meet the Chief Scientist aboard this vessel named Dr. Becker, and he reminds me of a few characters such as Dr. Halsey from Halo, or Mora Volin from the XCOM series, or even the medic from TF2. Overall, he seems like a pretty trustworthy guy and definitely won't bring a xenomorph aboard. Beyond that, we prepare our first deployment to a place quite literally called the Dead Hills. Why do I have a feeling that that name is going to become a very literal here soon? Beyond that, we arrive to the entrance of Dead Hills. And as we make our way through the town, we eventually enter a building to continue our investigation of what happened to this place. Which, let's be honest, we all know what happened here. We eventually find one of the residents of Dead Hills who appears to be dead. So we hack into the terminal that he was at to activate some satellite thing. I'm pretty sure we just turned on the Wi-Fi again for most of this place, but beyond that, we learned that apparently most of this place is locked down. I honestly can't help but wonder why though.
Do something!
Other than that, we continue our journey all the way up to the second floor, and we are preparing to take the elevator when one of the soldiers makes a comment about the stability of it.
Guys, I have a bad feeling about that.
Come on, you've watched too many movies. It was built by the way you. It'll hold.
So after witnessing how safe Weyland-Yutani elevators are, we then enter the HQ in order to lift the lockdown. And the only three major things that really happened in here was us basically revealing most of the entire map. Finding a crazy person that was in a locker, who unfortunately got infected by a facehugger, so we know how that song and dance goes. And to top it all off, all the doors are now open. I definitely don't see how this could be a problem later on. So we continue to explore the second floor to figure out what happened here. And we find a hole that appears to lead straight to a xenomorph hive. And so we then put down a motion tracker to make sure that no xenomorphs come out of there. Unfortunately, due to the power of a scripted event in the game, a xenomorph does spawn. So long as we actively avoid the xenomorph and any other xenomorphs that might spawn and don't make any loud noises, we should be fine. Anywho, we continue our journey through the second floor until we find an unconscious person who appears to have a facehugger on them. The Marines try to get the facehugger off of them, but it doesn't work. So we make the decision to put this person out of their misery in a very quiet and silent manner. So after when one of the Marines makes the intelligent decision of firing a gun while xenomorphs are hunting us, I quickly place down a motion tracker that I can use as a distraction while I make my way to the nearest elevator. For context, any motion trackers you do place down, it will create a high-pitched noise which should attract any xenomorphs that are currently on the map. Anywho, after basically sounding the dinner bell, I quickly place an explosive charge on a wall. Instead of continuing through the hallway that I was currently in, I decide to take the catwalk outside, which unfortunately immediately got us into a firefight with a xenomorph. Luckily, we were able to kill it with ease, but now every xenomorph nearby actively knew our location. So we prepared to fight against the xenomorphs that were heading our way, and we died. So after reloading the save, we managed to make it all the way back to the Entago safely. And I definitely didn't stay around a little bit longer, even though I should have left. Just ignore the time lapse. So after returning to the Entago, we rearm and head back out to Dead Hills, primarily to save civilians and any other personnel that are still left within the town. And overall, this would go relatively well, because the first person that we managed to find was another Marine. Then we found a veterinarian that was hiding behind a bulkhead door. And she would give us a lovely new device to play with called a sentry gun, which is an automatic turret that should target anything that tries to actively kill us. And the main reason why we're setting up this turret in the first place is because the xenomorphs are making a beeline right to us. Furthermore, this had to be one of the more difficult sections I think I've played so far out of this game. Because one thing I did forget to mention at the start of this video is the fact that I am playing this game on Nightmare difficulty. Besides doing some playtesting to make sure that the game could run properly, I was nearly 3 hours into the game. So you can probably take a wild guess how this section went for me. Eventually I did complete this section, and unfortunately the veterinarian won't be able to make it back with us. But hey, we have sentry turrets now, and I definitely don't see how these things can be overpowered. Now after a while of saving people across the map, we eventually make our way to a slaughterhouse. And we sneak our way through the slaughterhouse until we find a empty cargo container, which appeared to have a similar contents to that of the cargo containers that were on the space station. Before anything, I placed down some landmines because I was somewhat suspicious about this room, because this warning popped up before I could properly progress the mission. It should be fine, right? It's definitely not like something's gonna come crashing through the bulkhead doors. Oh no. Oh, fun. So after seeing that somebody forgot to leave their dog at home, we were able to deal with the target with a combination of landmines and lots of bullets. This did take me 2 tries to properly beat this boss, and on my second attempt I was able to completely delete half of its health, allowing me to easily defeat it compared to last time. After this, we enter the underground mines underneath the dead hills. And let me tell you something, I already hate these mine tunnels because it's filled with tight corners, allowing nearly any kind of enemy to appear out of nowhere. Eventually, as we're going through the mine tunnels, we eventually find a xenomorph nest. The easy part was clearing it out and killing its queen. The hard part was actually escaping the mine tunnels and making it back to the elevator in one piece. And through the combination of welding some doors, lots of fire, and some landmines, we were able to escape the tunnels while retrieving a survivor from the nest, and retrieving a DNA sample from the xenomorph queen. But beyond that, we learned that the cargo container from earlier is from a spaceport, so we'll prepare another Marine squad to go off and investigate where nothing bad can ever happen.